working. It says the streaming monitor is working and all is well. So I don't know if it's on YouTube. It says it's sending data to YouTube. Online. There we go. We're up and running, buddy. Ready to do this? Let's do this, friend.
Yep.
Tell me when you're ready.
I'm almost ready.
We is streaming, so don't say anything you don't want anybody to know.
I've already said what I said.
Gotcha.
I know what I'm about.
Hi, everybody. I'm Brian.
I'm Joey.
Welcome to the Maryland Fishing Line, episode 48. Today is Tuesday, May 18th, 2021. Sorry, everybody. We've been gone a couple weeks. I looked, and it's been like 3 weeks since we've been here, Joey. But
Has it been?
yeah.
Oh, maybe. I guess so.
Yeah, we didn't.
We were fishing the whole time.
Yeah, I wish. I had to go to Florida for my daughter's college graduation. Joey went on a fishing trip. I was gone for like a week and a half, so it had some overlap. And sorry, everybody, but it's good to be back. I was jonesing to get back here and go fishing with, the weather heating
That was
up
me.
and everything going on. And Sean is here. Hey, Sean, what's up, buddy? Joey, before we get too deep, because this is what people are really here for, let's take a look at what's going on around the state. I guess the big news right now, striped bass. They're being found in the shallows. Keep in mind, folks, that the minimum is now 19 inches with one fish limit in Maryland waters in the main bay and at the mouth of some rivers. I had a lot of confusion when they released that March press release where they changed it.
You got to move your creek a little bit.
Yeah, I need to actually move that creek a little bit closer to the bay is what I need to do. Because the way they wrote it, and they were still using the 2020 maps, there was some confusion on my part about when everything kicked off. But they did update the 2021 maps, and they made it clear, and it is June 1st. I, for some reason, thought it was March or May 16th, but didn't catch that. I caught that before any problems. So all Maryland waters do open on June 1st. And right now, from what I hear, the Patuxent and the Potomac both are holding plenty of rockfish in the 14 to 24 inch range. So once that season is open, things should heat up really quick. Did you hear much about trophy season? It's such a short window of time.
No, I heard in the same sentence or paragraph, I heard a guy at a local fishmonger shop complain about lack of. How did he do it? It was lack of trophy fish, but not opening the season. I don't know. It was like, I probably can't say properly what he said, but I'm like, listen to what you just said, and look at where our fishery's at.
I know. It's like you're complaining.
You're complaining, but you're like, oh, I can't catch. Well, I did want to say, like, maybe you suck as a fisherman.
So if we kill all of the breeders that are creating smaller fish for the sake of trophy season, which quite frankly means fish get turned into fillets that aren't nearly as good as an 18 or 20 inch fish.
Yep.
It's kind of like, you're right. I know exactly what you're saying. You can't complain about the lack of trophy fish when you kill all of the breeders that create more fish.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's a logic puzzle. It's a logic bomb that you can't get your head around. But I heard a lot of people say the trophy season was a mixed bag. Some people were happy.
I've seen some
not.
nice fish.
Seen some nice fish, but also seen a lot of people saying they couldn't get a fish that was over 35 inches. So,
well, there you go.
There you go. I honestly think we need to do away with the thing called a trophy season and do slot limits.
And I think between podcasts, ASMFC had their big striped bass meeting between our podcasts. There's all kinds of conservation side behind it. You don't have to get too far into it. But it was a pretty big win for conservation on the last ASMFC meeting.
Good. Good.
So that Tony that was on here was part of that big charge with the Guides Association. So had a very big voice in that.
I mean, would you agree with that, though? If we did a slot limit, 18 to 28.
Dude, I don't want to say the M word, but we need to.
I don't think that's going to fly. But
it's not going to fly, but it worked in the past.
It's worked in the past, but honestly, I think it would.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, moratorium.
Oh yeah,
yeah. You're talking about moratorium. I'll use the M word. I don't think that's the right call. But I think if we let the big fish live to create more fish.
Yeah.
You know what? I was looking on the Tony's, the American Saltwater Guide
Yeah.
Association. And I wanted to mention this to you because I know you're tight with Tony. I would love to see them actually give grades to the states on their efforts, because they do that in the bike world.
Oh, they do?
The
I'll
League
tell
of
you what, Maryland's going to get an F.
Well, League of American Bicyclists goes through and gives states a grade, and it's become a very big thing for these states that they know what the criteria is that they have to up their grade. I would love to see some organization like them actually go, okay, New Jersey, here's your grade based upon this criteria. Maryland, here's your
Jersey's
grade.
horrible.
Right, but I'm saying we would know.
Maryland, Virginia, Potomac River, they're all pretty bad.
Because I'm a Marylander. I live in Maryland, but I know that what happens here is impacted by what happens there.
Yeah.
I would love to know, okay, what are they doing there? What are they doing? So make it a little simpler. I would just, because I've dug through their website and I've looked for information, but I just can't seem to get a handle on who are the bad guys, who are the good guys, and in whatever your take is, I just think it would be interesting.
Yeah.
And yeah, on slots, I really think slots are good. Got people in the live stream. Sean, hey Wayne, how you doing, buddy? Kyle, slot limits seem to work for redfish. Any fin is possible. Hey, buddy. Charles up in Connecticut fishing the KBF trail.
Oh.
Charles is turning into a trail fisherman up at Lake Candlestick, Candle something.
I don't know.
In Connecticut.
Nice.
So he's got to get on them smallmouth. Good luck up there, Charles. Break a leg.
But don't.
But don't. Break a leg or break a rod. No, not break a rod. Break a something. Break a record. How's that? Break a PB. That works. Joe, just look at me like I'm an idiot.
Where are we?
You were right there.
My home
I'll
got
take
catfish?
this. I'll take this. So my home turf is one of the hot spots for catfish at the moment, and I got this from Ken Lamb over at Tackle Box. He's reporting that good catches of really nice catfish are being made in the Patuxent on the 50-foot ledge in front of St. Leonard's Creek. Anglers drifted around until they struck catfish and then anchored. 50 feet seemed to be the right depth, and catfish were in the 3 to 7 pound range and were plentiful. Also seeing some perch in the mix there. Little further out than I think I want to take one of my kayaks, plus it's about a 6 mile paddle to get down there.
Huh.
So I'm not sure
Ooh,
I'm doing
Torquedo.
that. And honestly, I'm seeing catfish bigger than that up at the top end of the creek. And did you saw that video that I posted of those carp?
Yeah.
The
they
carp
were,
are
they was fornicating.
firmly on the spawn and could care less that my kayak was sitting right next to what they were doing. And there was honestly a 30, 35 pound carp in the mix in the middle of all that, man. And it's still going on almost every day now when I go out, because I'm fishing every day now. I see carp rolling around and splashing, and it's hard to ignore. Hard to ignore.
It's. Well, I would say, I guess you just white perch are back, and they are where they belong along docks, piers, shoreline structure, hard bottoms. Throw some bottom rigs and bloodworms or shrimp or some small jig spinners early in the late in the day into the shadows.
So that's been my little recipe for success here. My white perch have shown up, and that's what I'm doing. I know where my hard bottoms are versus my soft and mucky bottoms.
Yeah.
And I just find that little hard bottom that's up next to the shore, up next to a bank, 3 to 5 feet of water in the shadows, throwing little jig spinners, and I'm tearing the white perch up right now. Had some really nice ones. Had some really nice white perch. Definitely keeper size.
Largemouth bass can be found in the spawning phase throughout the state. Males will be busy guarding nest, and females will either be assisting or close by looking for a few snacks. Catching soft plastic creatures, baits in the shallow areas is one of the best tactics this week.
Mm-hmm. I'm done a lot of largemouth fishing. I went over to the my ponds over in
You
Charles
caught them all
County.
on the phone with me.
Yeah, I was talking. That's funny. I was talking to you on the phone, and when I first got to the pond, I first started fishing. It was like dead.
Yeah.
And then you called me. We were talking on the phone, or I called you. I can't remember which one.
I think
it
I
was.
call it, I don't know.
And we started talking, and we chatted for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
During that time, I caught
Yeah, like
most
3
of
or
my
4
fish.
good hookups. Some nice, yeah.
And then, but later on, I had a lot of smaller fish. I was throwing little jerk baits, little hard minnow jerk baits.
Yep.
And later on in the day, I hooked up with a couple of nice, like 3-pound fish, and that was right. I was like, okay, two 3-pound fish, and then I looked at the timing on the pictures that I took,
Yeah.
and they were within like 3 minutes of each other. And I was like, okay, done. Day's over. Time to go.
Nice.
Time to be done. But it was good. I've been spending so much time in the creek that I just haven't done a lot of freshwater. But it felt good to get over there and do that. Your northern snakeheads are moving into the shallows, often near grass or shoreline brush. Chatterbaits, if you're willing to give up the $15 when they destroy it. Paddle tails, a good choice. Meps. You can also throw some live minnows, or the tip of an arrow will also seem to do the trick as well. These guys bow fishing for these things. So Sean says he has not seen the perch show up on St. Mary's River yet. That's interesting. I thought they would be there. I thought they'd be up in there by now. Wouldn't you have thought?
Where?
Up in the top end of the St. Mary's River? I would thought the perch would be there by now.
I would assume so, but
Yeah. Interesting. So that's kind of catching up. That's the big story obviously is the striped bass, and the trophy season is over. You can keep and catch some smaller fish if you so choose, and then everything's going to open up here on June 1st. But you be you. Harvest fish if you want to harvest fish, and but respect the resource in some way, shape, or form.
yeah.
That's probably the best thing to do. All right, Joey, what's going on in your world?
It's been a while since we've done this.
I know. It's been 3 weeks.
I spent a week in the Catskills fishing the whole time.
Tell us all about that.
To sum it up, I went up. Well, I guess a week. I went Sunday morning through Thursday. It was a week for me. It wasn't a full week, but taxes and family calls.
Mm-hmm.
Tax day was yesterday for all you folks in Maryland.
Got my extensions filed.
Oh, I went to the tax man that does my taxes on Friday.
I did the same thing. Go to the accountant. File an extension.
Oh, I didn't file an extension. I got money back, which was great. No, went up there. I left really early because I was driving separately. I wasn't. Went up with a couple friends, and got there a good bit before them, so I could get to my. We stayed at a lodge. Lodge is it's a great place, but it's definitely like a fishing lodge where everything about it's nice. It's like not overdone, so you don't feel like so you're outside all day. Like I told you in the last podcast, it's a nice bedroom. It's got a living quarters. We brought up a couple stoves. Hot water wasn't really hot, but it's enough to keep a quick shower. Then it's got a bathroom and everything, and then it's got a really nice overlook over the river. We have our own pool to fish from.
What was the water? What was the body of water?
We were fishing most of the time the West Branch of the Delaware River.
Okay.
Up in Hancock, New York. The West Branch splits splits Pennsylvania and New York.
New York. And that's water you fish. You fish there quite a bit.
Yeah.
You fish there every year.
I love it. It has some of the best. It's a historic area. Mainly the town about 30 minutes northeast called Roscoe was like it's nicknamed Trout Town, USA. It's like one of the top 3 fishing destinations in the
Trout
U.S.
Town, USA.
Oh yeah, they got signs
like
and everything. Within you know how big Leonardtown is?
Yeah.
Just the old square part. Imagine that smaller,
Okay.
with the main street being like just 2 lanes and a couple parking spaces. There's 3 fly shops.
Nice.
And one of them is the biggest Orvis dealer in the USA.
Wow.
Yeah, Orvis is a big company.
Yeah. Huge.
I'm not a huge Orvis fan. Like I love their products, but I feel like it's one of the big corporate things. I'd rather support anyway.
Local. I get you. I hear you.
Some of those local shops sell Orvis stuff, but when Orvis anyway. Biggest Orvis dealer is literally right across the street. And when I say across the street, it's like
Right
the
there.
house is behind me. It's right there. It's not far. Across from one of the other biggest fly shops in the country. And then like 5 doors down is another fly shop. When I was there 4 years ago, there was a 4th fly shop. Or when I was there like 10 years ago, there was a 4th. I think that person wrapped up and just they morphed into that 3rd one.
Okay.
And then right up the 10 minutes away, there's 2 other fly shops. It's ridiculous. We went to like 5 fly shops in one day within like an hour.
What?
I have to drive to Arlington to go to District Angling to get to my closest one.
Well, I mean, but you know,
Oh, it's the area.
you're right there.
It's cool.
Yeah.
There's probably not a lot of fly fishermen on here. But it was a blast. So, like we did the fun stuff. The morning's usually a little slow. It's cold.
Mm-hmm.
I usually like to do what's called streamer fishing early, like right at sunrise for big brown trouts. But it was a little cold. I fished the first morning it was like 30 every morning when I woke up. So I was a little cold. Usually wait till about 11 or 12 for the hatches to start. And then there's a big thing called the Hendrickson hatch, and the caddises are hatching. So just bugs galore. I just want to fish dry flies the whole time. And within the first,
Is that can I pause you because I'm not a fly fisherman? Is that pretty much like clockwork? It's like okay, well, it's getting ready.
You can kind of guess
10
it. Doesn't mean
o'clock.
it's always going to happen.
Okay.
Temperature can change whether the sun pops out.
Okay.
It might be later. You might only have a small hatch. Like we had one day, it was almost too much of a good thing. The fish were not like there was so much food.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
You could throw whatever you want at them.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating. And I'll try to go through I had the best trout trip I've ever had. Like I've caught the best fish I've ever caught. The first day, caught a beautiful rainbow. I had a drift boat coming right behind me. I caught like a 18-inch rainbow in front of a bunch of people. They stopped and watched.
Oh, that's nice. You didn't tell me that part.
Another drift boat came by. I lost a really nice rainbow in the air. Rainbows tend to jump. Browns tend to go down.
Okay.
That was great. Then at the end of that run, I was working on one fish. I thought it was a smaller fish. It was coming up. I found its feeding lane, and I got a fly in there, and it came up and took my fly. And I thought I had a 30-inch brown. I thought I had like the brown trout. Like, oh my god, this thing! I use a really old reel by a company Hardy made it.
Uh-huh.
It's old, but it's also one of the best reels around. And it's a nice click paw anyway. This thing, I've never been down to my backing in my fly on a trout. I was into my backing, and it had me way down river. I ended up hiking like 50 feet, about 500 yards total. It pulled me down river. I kept like walking down with it. I'm like, oh my, like this is, I thought it was huge.
That's cool.
Like, and then as it gets, my friend Chris is upriver. He was about a quarter mile or so away. And I got up to him like, Chris, like, I'm going to work my way over to you, but like, I have a huge fish. Like, get your net out. Like, I don't care. We're going to get up on bank. The water was really high, and it was moving. Turns out, when it rolled on my fly, I hooked it in its back. And it was still about an 18, 20-inch brown trout. But I thought it was like...
Well, yeah, anytime you foul hook.
Oh, yeah, like 15 minutes went by because I had it in its back, so I had it like at its strongest point.
Yeah.
It was crazy. It was a good fish. But I did get back to the home pool, fish that right before I was cooking out. I caught about a 22-inch brown on a dry fly, which was awesome. But most of my browns were 15 to 20-something inches. And browns like that they're strong in that river. Like they put up a really good fight.
Well, I found that because, I caught my first brown trout this last summer down in North Carolina, and I was amazed that a 9-inch fish could put on that show.
And you get something in the low 20s, high teens in a big river, they are strong.
Yeah, they got to be.
They work you.
Yeah, they got to be. They got to be. They're in that moving water. They got to be.
And then
strong
like at
fish.
a 4-weight, and the water was really high. Like it was really gushing. So you had nothing working in your favor. It was a blast. Like I said, went a lot of cool places. We fished the historic rivers, the Beaver Kill and the Woolly-Mock up there, which started dry fly fishing in the U.S. There's a lot of history, which I really like. My friend Chris just always wanted to fish. I'm like, but the mornings are slow. Let's like take Dennis. I had deep fried French toast. You ever had that?
Deep fried French toast.
Yep.
That sounds delicious.
Took a nice piece of bread about that thick, cook it, and then they drop it in the fryer so it's so crispy, and the inside is so soft. That's at the famous Roscoe Diner.
That sounds really good. That sounds really good.
My last day there, I'll kind of finish this up. I was working. It was a hard day of fishing. Like it was cold. The only reason I did so well compared to the other guy, I covered a lot of water.
Now, let me back up just
I
one
was
second.
hiking a lot.
Was that your best brown?
All my best browns were there.
That was this. That
One
was
at some point in time, one of my low 20s was my best brown, but
Okay.
I had a lot of big browns.
so you had a personal best brown.
A lot of personal. Well, they kept getting better.
Okay, cool. That's an
And
amazing
then
trip.
I
That's
didn't,
awesome.
which was great because last year I didn't catch many browns at all. It was all rainbows. And I like rainbows; they're pretty, but they're not my thing. Like, I like an ugly looking brown trout with like a.
I don't think the brown trout are ugly with those red.
No, I mean
spots
like
on
the
it.
little like when their lips curl up and they get really big. I
Okay.
want like that nasty looking.
ugly fish. Fish ugly.
You know, like it's got the pointy curled up lip. It's
Okay.
like it's eating some stuff.
Yeah.
It chases ducks. Maybe not that, but you know they eat mice at night and stuff on the water. That's
they
what I
really?
want. Yeah.
Wow.
They say after brown trout get over like 20 inches, they stop eating dry flies and they just eat like meat, like they're chasing other smaller trout.
Wow.
They're huge carnivores. That's why
Wow.
the streamers you're throwing like a little little, but for trout it's big, like a big old streamer. They're chasing fish.
Those are big fish chasing little fish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Long story short, worked really hard. I covered a lot of water my last day. I hiked 7 or 8 miles. The other guys just
Wow.
little. I'm last day there. I'm looking for fish.
Did
I
you
didn't-
straw with that?
No, I burned so many calories. I lost like 10 pounds while I was gone.
Did you really?
And we
That's
ate
awesome.
good. Well, wading in water is like all day.
work.
It's work.
It's work.
Um,
In cold water too.
And I drank a lot of alcohol. But I found this one little pool that I always come up to. I kept losing little fish. Like smaller fish will come up after you're dry and you set the hook and it's nothing. They're so small. I finally got to this one in the back of a pool and I hooked into it and I was like, oh, this is a nice fish. And as I got it closer, it wasn't fighting like a brown. It was like a 25, 26 inch rainbow.
Oh.
And I missed it the first time in the net. The water was really rolling. I was like, oh, and I was freaking out. I'm like, oh.
Because you usually only get one shot at it,
Oh,
right?
yeah. And then it was so big in my net, I had to hold my hand over it as I walked back to the shore. And I thought my friend Chris and Dennis were coming down. And I called Chris. I was like, Chris, this is my best fish I've ever caught. Like, I do want a picture with it. And he's like, well, we're way upriver. I'm like, God damn it. So I set my camera up. I take a video. I turned my video on facing me and I had it all propped up. I never got like a good picture because I couldn't get it out of the net.
Oh.
It kind of had one of those weird jaws as fish get bigger,
Uh-huh.
and it kept getting stuck in the fish was so big,
Yeah.
but it curled out of my net.
That's cool.
It was ridiculously cool. And it was a rainbow. It was beautiful.
That's awesome.
It was huge. Like I couldn't get my hand around it. I got some bad pictures I took off the video.
How big did you say it was? 25,
It was
26?
like 25, 26. When you actually lay it out, I don't have a picture where the whole thing is flat. Usually the tail's flopped over.
Now, how much does a 25 or a 26 inch rainbow typically weigh?
I don't know.
No clue.
No clue.
Okay.
I
I'm
caught it
trying-
on a 4-weight with like 5X tippet, which is pretty small.
I was trying to just get a visual in my mind
But
of what's going
I
on.
landed it way quicker than like a 15-inch brown trout.
Huh.
Which was not weird, but anyway, that was my trout trip. It was amazing.
Nice.
I drove back Thursday. I love it up there. Like I'm probably gonna go the same week next year. Usually around Mother's Day weekend. Quick shift. I fished Solomon's yesterday.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. 'cause
I did a very short. I had a lot of stuff to do. I only had like one day off at home over the last like 2 weeks because I've been traveling. We went to Jersey for a day. But I did go out in the creek, went all the way to CBL and back, caught a couple of the dinks out there just to see if they were there. I caught some bigger, like 18, 19, maybe 20s in the normal spots out here. But just little paddle tails. I was looking for redfish mostly
Yeah.
and perch. I really want to find the perch because I do want to do crab pots this year. So I was like,
that's
well, once
it.
I need to start keeping perch. I was going to keep, if I caught them, I was going to keep them.
Yep.
And
Keep all my perch.
get some crab pots. But otherwise, yeah, there was a lot of bait in the creek.
Yeah.
A lot of bait.
It seems like when
Holy cow.
when I left for Florida, it was kind of like hit or miss.
Yeah.
When I got back from Florida, it was like life exploded in the
Mm-hmm.
creek. Like, everywhere you look now,
Yeah.
there's just activity and fish and movement.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely, if you're doing crab pots, get them out there because I've got crabs at the top end of my creek now. I've been waiting, and it's usually around Memorial Day when we set pots.
Yeah.
I don't typically mess with them before then, especially with the cold. It's been cold while I was in Florida. I know it was really cold here. it was warm down there, but it was cold here. So I've been looking for them, and I did actually see a crab for the first time yesterday. So this morning I threw some pots in, and like you said, I did find the white perch. I've found them, and I've started to keep a whole bunch of them. And so I put a couple of perch in the pots and set the pots. And by the time I got back from fishing this morning, I had picked up 2 crabs.
Oh,
so,
nice.
So they're here. So the first crabs of the season are here. I'm really excited about that. I actually ate crabs for the first time over at Port Tobacco.
Mm-hmm.
My brother was in town with his wife, and my mom loved crabs, so we went over to Port Tobacco and had some crabs. They were good. I'm the ones that you catch and you pull right out of the water, and there's something special about them. They got that nice buttery kind of something going on. These, when they've been transported, I think they lose a little bit of whatever. The creek is definitely alive, though. There's no doubt about that.
There's a lot of stuff in the creeks.
Haven't seen any redfish yet. I continue to look every day. Haven't seen a speck yet. Continue to look. The rockfish just keep getting in the way, even though they're not supposed to be eating my baits. They just keep getting in the way. Because I'm finding these, I'm looking for, and I know where the hard bottoms are, and I know where the hard bottom lumps are. And so I'm going in there, and I'm working those spots with little paddle tails, and the rockfish just eat it up. I mean, they are so. And I sent you a couple pictures of the graph.
Yeah.
It's on the Instagram from Maryland Kayak Outfitters.
So is that, I asked you, because when I see that in here, I thought it was trees.
No, those are fish, buddy.
So I see it a lot in here.
Those are fish. Those are fish.
Because I thought it would be a little more.
A little more pointed.
Yeah.
Nah, those are fish. Those are stacked up schools of fish.
I always go past those.
No.
I thought they were trees.
No, those are
I'm still new to the
stacked up schools of fish. Anytime you get that arch with the real hard return in the top and there's space underneath. So when you look at your graph and you see that arch, even if it's a long arch, and it's yellow in the center of that yellow, the harder the return is, it's yellow, and the softer it goes red to like a purple.
Yeah.
So anytime your hard bottoms are that red, or your hard bottoms are a hard yellow line.
Yeah.
Okay, so anytime but you get something that's elevated, that's hard yellow, that you've got space between that and the bottom, that's fish. And if you get like those big long arches that are stacked on top of each other like that, those are schools of fish.
Oh.
Those are.
So what I've gone off of with the Garmin is I split my screen to Clearview and then whatever the regular thing's called. And on the Clearview, because it shows a little differently, if I get
you'll see it's just a return.
just a like a dot of a hard dot, and then I know that's a fish.
See, I've done the sonar for so long that I tried using the Clearview, but I found it a little more confusing. Now, I know that if you did a side view,
I don't have that fancy side
I don't
scan.
have that either. So I went back to sonar and chart because I want to see my contour lines on my chart on half, and I want to see my fish returns, my sonar returns, because the arches are fish, and if you see the little arches, it's typically perch at the bottom. Or something else, but I've been working. I know where my hard lumps are. I've been working them, and I haven't seen a redfish yet. I haven't seen a speck yet.
I had a friend catch a redfish up in Helens Creek. So between me and you,
yeah,
right off his pier, fishing for perch.
I know they're going to be here pretty soon because the speculation is that they would follow the crabs because that's a big part of what they eat. That's a big part of their diet. So my thought was that would be a good indicator that they're here. Now, I haven't worked too far down the creek yet. I've been all the way about halfway down to Breeden's Point, and I'm catching fish all the way down here. Now, the white perch have definitely showed up. The white perch, like I said earlier, early in the morning, late in the day, throwing in the shadows, little Mr. Twister with a little small spinner.
Yeah.
I actually make my own of those. I've still got a stockpile of those that I made years and years and years ago. And that is by far white. White is the color.
I loved white last year, and I started with white this year.
That's it. I have caught almost every fish that I've caught this year has been on some sort of white soft plastic that I've caught in the creek.
I like horde white Mr. Twisters and white paddle tails.
And eventually you'll go to yellow. Chicken.
Oh, I love the electric chicken.
Electric chicken.
Yeah.
With a little, when you want to need to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, I do have a lot of those.
But the creek is full of bait fish.
A lot of them.
bunker all over the place. You see schools of them on the sonar as you're rolling by. Fish breaking water. The perch are you can see them on the graph too. I actually caught a rockfish. I was perch fishing today with that little teeny tiny 1/8 ounce jig head perch fishing, and I had about a 17, 18 inch rockfish swallow that thing, which I worry about because that's a small bait. They could inhale that and get it deep.
Yeah.
So I'm not crazy about that. I try to avoid their haunts looking for perch, like at great expense, I think, because I don't want those fish to inhale that bait because they will get it down in their gullet and that will kill a fish. So
I had a brown take my fly. The fly went in its mouth, out the gills, and up into its eye.
Oh my goodness!
And its eye was starting to come out a little, so I just cut the fly. How the hell did you do that, you dumb fish?
How did
I have a
do
picture
that?
of the fly out of its gills, up into its eye. Crazy.
I was fishing with my brother over the ponds, and he was throwing those little swim baits, little plastic swim baits.
Yeah.
And he had a fish take that, and he was fishing some real ultralight stuff. And he had a really nice, maybe 14, 15, 16-inch fish take that and run to the center of the pond and broke him off. And then he went back at it with another bait, hooked up at the exact same spot, which probably was the exact same fish, broke that off again. Third time's a charm. He actually caught the fish this time with that little swim bait stuck in the side of his lip.
Oh, can I tell you one quick story?
Yeah.
Not to interrupt. I was in the one section up on the West Branch. My friend Chris was just up the river from me after I looked everywhere for no rising fish. Chris had a little pot of them working in front of him, so I got over next to him. He's throwing everything he has at him. Nothing comes up. There's a couple flies I tied. Instantly, like within a minute, I got a nice riser next to him. Mm-hmm. And then he's all pissed off. And then like another minute later, I got another like 20-inch brown. Like I'm just nailing them, stacking them up in front of him. So I'm like, all right, Chris, here's some flies I tied. Like they've been working great because they're very picky fish up there. I went up river, and about a minute into it, the lighting was right. There was it was a very high 20-inch, probably rainbow trout. It was just rolling up. You could see it come up and roll. I kept getting a glimpse out of his eye. And it is like less than a rod's length away. Like it was so close next to me.
You can't even cast.
It was so hard. So I finally gave it some time, and I was able to do like a roll around. I hooked the fish. I had him. Like Chris was up next to me. I was like, oh my god! And it was all over in like 2 seconds. It took my fly, and by the time there was so much slack and everything, by the time it made its run, it was gone.
Yeah.
But this fish came out of the water. It was like the one that got away.
So it would have been another personal best?
This was before the last day.
Okay.
This was a beautiful fish. You could just see how big it was as it was just coming up and rolling.
Nice.
Coming up and rolling.
Nice.
And I'm like, Chris, this thing's like 4 feet away from me. It doesn't know I'm right behind it. And then it was just too close.
Yeah.
Like I did get it to take my fly.
There's a perfect window, but yeah, you're right. If you had to roll,
I could have jumped on it.
If you had to roll the line like that, it's gonna
have one of those like you're doing like a side cast.
Yeah, you're gonna put so much slack in the line that there's just no way. You know.
At least I tricked it. That's half the fun.
Yeah.
So
you beat.
I did forget about that.
You defeated it.
Yeah.
I did. Yesterday was my first 30 fish day.
Yeah.
Of the year. Yeah, between the few rockfish that I caught and then just literally slaying the white perch. I enjoy white perch fishing. I get a kick out of it. I don't. A lot of people think it's kind of, I don't know. I really enjoy it. I have a lot of fun with it. And I am excited, though, because I know where the rockfish are. They are stacked up. They are ready to go. And June 1st is going to come.
Hopefully they're not out.
No, they're not going anywhere.
Come down to Solomon's.
Well, if they go anywhere, I'm following them because I know exactly where they are every day. I go looking for them. I will know exactly where they are. We actually had our first rental of the season. We're excited about that. Mom and daughter came for just a little joy cruise out on the creek and fell in love with the pedal drive boats, which was awesome. It was so exciting. I guess the girl was in town they were here for a soccer tournament, and they wanted to just get out and go on a kayak for a little bit, and they got stood up by an outfitter over in Greenwell.
You said it wasn't us, was it?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Only because our weekends have been booked out.
No, she said that she paid them with PayPal.
Oh, yeah, we don't do any of that.
Then he just didn't show up. Or whoever, I say he, but the outfitter did not show up.
Okay.
So she was calling around. And I was like, yeah, I can help you put them on boats. I gave them a nice sweet deal day of, and they were only out for an hour. And but the young girl was probably 12 years old, maybe. I don't know. I didn't ask, but she seemed to really get a kick out of the pedal drive, and I think they both really enjoyed it.
Nice.
So, I got them dialed in.
Well, congrats on your first rental.
Thank you. And I've had the phone literally is ringing off the hook. I have people.
It gets annoying.
I keep no, I don't mind it at all.
No, I hate it.
I keep telling people, and I'm maybe shooting myself in the foot, but I keep telling them wait till June 1st. Wait till June 1st. Don't do it now. And I've had quite a few people call and they want to come rent a boat, and I'm like, let's just hold. And I got white perch, but I don't think anybody. I want everybody to have a good time. I want them to really have something that's memorable. And I think catching a decent-sized rockfish from a kayak is a whole different thing than catching a decent-sized rockfish from a boat.
Yeah.
You can catch a 14 or 15-inch rockfish in a kayak, and you feel like you've got Moby Dick.
Yeah.
I think it's a whole different experience, and I really want people to be able to enjoy that and take advantage of it and really get out there and have some fun. But some days in early June are already booked. I've got some stuff that's off the calendar. So mdkayak.com if you want to actually get out on some of these fish. Joey, I don't have any this or that's this week.
I just realized we talked about it first, but
yeah, we never did do any this or that's. Let's see if we can come up off the top of our heads. Brown trout or rainbow?
Oh, brown.
Which one?
Rainbows are pretty, but you give me two fish to catch for the rest of my life, it's a redfish and a brown trout.
Okay.
I love brown.
That's an interesting thing. So, of those two, though, which would it be?
A redfish.
Redfish?
Yeah.
Hands down?
Hands down.
Yeah.
But catching, big fat brown trout on dry flies is pretty cool. Like, it probably doesn't sound a lot to Southern Maryland folks because we don't have trout fishing down here. But it is exhilarating. I don't know. It's cool.
The brown trout that I caught last year in North Carolina, because I'm not a trout fisherman. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I have to admit, there was a little bit of a rush, and I went back looking for them again, because it was like, but we'd gotten some rain and the water was up, and I guess that blows it all up.
Oh, they love when it gets all nasty, the bigger browns.
Well, I was in small water with smaller fish.
Yeah.
And I don't think. Well, I don't know. Maybe there were bigger browns in there, and I just didn't know it. I don't know.
It's brown,
that's the learning
bigger
thing.
browns are just like it's a top fish.
So if I had that's an interesting.
You put a 20-inch brown up against 20 inches of other stuff, other than maybe like a smallmouth or a redfish. It's pretty hard. Yeah,
Charles is going to discover that. He's up in Connecticut, and he's going to be fishing smallmouth. That's a different beast than a largemouth.
Oh, my neighbor Steve, lives on the other side of me. He hunts smallmouth. Like he was just up in Pulaski, up in New York, the same time I was up in New York, hunting smallmouth. He had a football.
Wow.
He told me he thought he hooked the bottom, and it was a 20 like it's a big fish.
That's a big smallmouth.
He told his friend and the guide with the boat, he's like, I'm stuck on the bottom. Like move forward because I don't want to break. Like I'm trying to break it off on the other side. And he said it slowly started moving. It's probably one of the biggest. But he'll go up to the Juniata and up to where do we stay in Unpaved?
Mifflinburg.
A couple river. I think Juniata and some others run out of there. He hunts smallmouth.
Yeah.
I love smallmouth.
I
haven't caught a lot of them.
Charles was asking me today, and I was like, I've not caught a lot of them either.
Oh man!
And most times that I've actually caught them, it's been in moving water.
Yeah.
And they're typically small. I have never really hooked into a fully qualified,
I want to do that
smallmouth.
this year. Susquehanna.
Well,
Sure.
I mean,
Christine Fisher, Carrie Fisher, whatever her name is.
I've got an inn down in North Carolina and some nice smallmouth.
North Carolina, that's a drive.
Watauga.
I guess Harrisonburg's.
Watauga River.
2.5,
Watauga
3
River
hours.
is a world-class smallmouth fishery.
What I want to do is the North Branch of the Potomac,
Okay.
a semi bike packing.
We talked about that many times.
We
That'd
talked
be a lot
about
of
it.
fun.
This is the year. I just found a
Think
really
so?
cool. My friend Chris had a 7 or 8 piece fly rod that like fits in my frame bag.
If you plan it, I will come.
I just gotta get the time.
Yeah, I know. It's our line.
But the North Branch, you can catch smallmouth and rainbows
So if I
in
had
the same river with like clawdad flies.
if I had one freshwater fish and one saltwater fish, it would be largemouth and striped bass, I think, for me. It's something about although the red, I haven't really gotten the redfish zone yet. I've spent one season now really catching them serious. And what we would do when we'd go down to North Carolina in the Outer Banks in the fall, but it was never a consistent thing. Like, with rockfish, I can go out and I consistently know where those fish are. I can catch those fish. And so it's like they become your, it's my go-to. But if I get redfish in the creek and they show up like that, and I'm actually able to do that every day, I can see where that transition could take place. Because catching them down here last year in your creek was legit a lot of fun.
Yeah,
because they've got some butt to them.
So
no doubt.
I will say the few spots I wanted to fish for redfish yesterday, freaking ospreys. Are very territorial right now.
And you're scared of birds.
I'm afraid of ospreys.
That's
I don't
right.
care about birds. I told you I want to
fish
smack a
next to 'em.
turkey in the mouth. I don't. It's one of the things. Ospreys, they're savages. There was one. I was in the little cove over here, and it was up in the tree. I was just waiting. Like I had my net ready. Like I was getting a little too close because its nest was up on the corner
They just scream at you
but it was like in the tree ready. Like
to pounce on you.
I
Do
was
you
like,
really think
the
an osprey's
reaction
gonna
time
take you
between
on?
that? I don't know. I don't want to
think
be a statistic. It's there was a couple spots out here that I want to fish for just to start seeing if the redfish or speckled trout are there.
Yeah.
And they're
I've heard-
around osprey nests.
I've heard some rumors and seen a couple pictures that look like at the mouth of the river there's some specks.
Pete Dahlberg was catching them over on the Eastern Shore.
Well, they're catching everything over there.
He runs across. He has his boat right here.
I've
runs
heard,
every day.
I've heard lots of reports.
And the
of
redfish
of
over there are
specks
amazing.
And redfish over on the Eastern Shore, Tangier and Honga. Yeah.
But I don't want to be an osprey statistic.
You will be the first osprey.
No, I mean my net sits right there within. I mean that's the only thing I got to defend myself with. I'll beat it out of the sky. If I get arrested, I get arrested.
And I guess if I had to pick one fish,
Man, that's on air right now.
one fish, it would be rockfish, I guess. I don't know. I'm
There's something iconic and historic about rockfish in the bay, and
I'm at this weird crossroads between freshwater and saltwater right now. In my aura, my personal space.
I just wish we had better freshwater here, and then I would probably say, yeah.
Yeah, it's an hour and a half to get over to Mallows or Mattawoman or someplace, and then it's hit or miss over there.
Yeah. If I'm going to do that, I might drive 2 hours to the Gunpowder.
I did really well in some. I found those little ponds that I took all my tournament fish out of last year,
Yeah.
and I did really well. But they shut down. It's like I did real well through June,
Yeah.
and then boom, they turned off like a light switch, and I couldn't get anything to happen after that. Your dad Paul said peacock bass.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's a fighting fish right there. That gets really
You want
big.
to catch some in some sewer pipes down in Florida with me? Dude, have you watched people urban fish for this
they
thing?
fish
It's
through the sewer grates
amazing.
and through the
Yeah,
curb
but they
cuts.
fish these like little ditches in the side of the road, and they're pulling out huge peacocks.
That would be a fun YouTube channel.
There's a couple that already do it.
Gutter fishing.
Was it Mike Iaconelli? He's the Jersey guy.
Yeah.
I think he was in Philly or New York, and he was legitimately sitting on a bucket next to a drain, and he was catching fish out of it.
Well,
Yeah,
they're there.
it's pretty good.
They're there.
He's also a crazy man, so
Yeah,
Doesn't
he's
surprise me.
fishing kayaks tournaments now too.
yeah, he is.
Yeah. He fished the KBF tournament that Charles did real well in.
Yeah,
He was actually I think I can only fish that. I know because my nephew actually talks to Ike and Elliot a little bit every once in a while. They communicate.
I would say because my
Talk to
friend
each other.
Austin up towards the Gunpowder up until this year did all his filming for him,
Yeah, really.
which was really cool. And Mike was supposed to come to one of those Thai fests. Yeah, he's had some really cool footage of him that he hasn't posted online. He just had on his Instagram.
Well, I think
So-
that's our only this or that we've got this week.
Yeah, that's about it.
I know. Sorry, guys. We were late doing show notes, and
It's already 9:30. I didn't do any show notes.
Yeah.
Just getting yelled at by customers.
You got you got anything else before we shut it down?
No, I think that's it.
Think it's good?
Yeah, we'll see. I forget how our days are really long now. Like evening fishing
Yep.
is here. Like it's You can go out at 5 o'clock now and fish in the morning.
So my typical day is I will get up and I
wake
fish.
up and I fish.
Well, I wake up and I fish whatever the falling tide is because in the morning
Yeah.
it's been mornings.
Yeah, I did fish a good falling tide yesterday.
And okay, here's a good this or that: falling tide or rising tide.
Falling tide.
Yeah, that's kind of an easy one, I guess. I don't know.
Well, that
Falling tide.
depends.
I fish falling tides. I seem to.
I
be
fish
more
when I
in tune
can
with
get
that.
out. If I have to pick,
Yeah, but I mean, when I look at it, so here's like my last few days have been: I get up and I fish the morning falling tide. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's been really nice, like 9 o'clock till noon or 1 o'clock falling tide.
Yeah.
Perfect. And I'll start with the perch in the morning in the shadows of the trees, and then move right out into some deeper water, and then I will end my first fishing experience for the day. I'll go ride my bike for 20 or 30 miles, and then I'll come back, throw on something, go back out and fish the
the
evening.
life of Riley.
Well, I just hope it pays off. I hope I'm doing all of this to stay plugged into where my fish are, so that when somebody says I want to come and go fish, I know where to take them and where to send them. I'm doing the homework, I'm doing the hard work, I'm doing the heavy lifting, and I hope it pays off. So hope it pays off for somebody. Thanks everybody for listening to this episode of Maryland Fishing Line. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Chesapeake Angler. My show notes got all messed up. I'm on Instagram at Chesapeake Angler and at BN Rains and at MD Kayak Outfitters. Joey, how can folks get in touch with you?
I'm on the gram at Joey Sikorsky 24 and at Pack Paddle Sports. Don't ask me for kayaks. I don't have any.
YouTube.com/Chesapeake Angler. And Chris just popped in and says, hey, the show is back. Yep. Sorry, folks. We've been gone a few weeks. And this is funny. He said, assuming I bought a Medford knife and couldn't afford to do the show anymore. I didn't talk about it, though. I did get a new one. We were talking about this before. I picked up a Kershaw.
Oh, I think I got my replacement since then, too.
Natrix. Nice finger flip. It's a
Mine's
really nice
quick
feeling
flip.
knife.
We all got our knives out.
Wow, this is good. This podcast just
Your
got
knife
scary.
is huge.
It is a big knife, isn't it? It feels good though. It's real thin. Fits in the pocket really nicely. So there we go.
That thing's enormous.
It is a big knife. It is a big knife.
I retired my broken one that I broke because I
me
kept
see
playing
it.
with a fidget spinner.
This is the new one you got.
Yeah, I've already beat up the blade.
Is it broken in? Oh, that feels good.
That one feels much better than the old one. Well, now my other one's my kayak knife.
Which
Garmin let me keep the old one.
which
Or Gerber, sorry.
which model of knife is this? Because this is really nice.
I actually forgot. I think they discontinued it, so I was surprised they sent me a new one.
Because it's got a nice finger flip. Is that assisted opening?
Yes.
But then it's got a push button close.
And it's got the safety on it. It's like on a gun.
The safety is up here so that you can't even flip it when the safety's done.
Yeah.
This knife actually hits a lot of the marks.
Yep.
That's a nice knife, Joey. I'd love to find out what model that is. I might add one of those to my collection.
And
Thank
you have
you.
like 8 of them now.
Thank you.
Chris O'Connor said Greg Medford was in my platoon during the Gulf War.
Score.
Well, hot dang.
Hot dang.
All right. Shut her down.
We're going to shut her down. Thanks, everybody, for listening to the podcast. And we promise, well, actually, I'm not going to be here next week, am I? We may
No.
have to take another week off. I'm out of town next week doing a bike tour.
We'll have some good fish stories to talk about.
We'll have some great fish stories.
Yeah, I might fish one time between now and then.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. Until next time, love you. Bye.
Love you, bye.